Welcome to Value Plays Only, where Wishclaw Talisman is just Grim Tutor that starts a fight. Today, we have Cammy playing Sheoldred the Apocalypse. This mono-black control deck looks to punish mid-range value decks while slowly draining the table. It can win with Bloodchief Ascension and Mindcrank or Aetherflux Reservoir. Her hand contains Imperial Seal, Word of Command, Cursed Totem, Grim Tutor, Hoarding Broodlord, and 2 Swamps. Tyler is playing Rograkh, Son of Rograkh, and Silas Wren, Secret Adept. This is the fastest deck in the format. It uses Rograkh to its highest potential, blazing out Grixis flavored wins as early as turn 1 or 2. His hand contains a Gamble, Springleaf Drum, Burgi, God of Storytelling, Time Twister, Flooded Strand, Verdant Catacombs, and Watery Grave. Dan is playing Lumra, Bellow of the Woods. This is a landfall combo deck. It can assemble many different infinite mana combos with any land untapping ability. It often wins only through activated abilities once it gets going. His hand contains an Exploration Brood Ship, Sylvan Safekeeper, Endurance, Court of Calling, Crystal Vein, City Traders, and Hickory Woodlot. John is playing Omnath, Locus of Creation. This Sands Black combo deck is looking to use Omnath's landfall ability to make explosive pushes of mana. It can win with Food Chain or Underworld Breach. His hand contains a Mystic Remora, Worldly Tutor, Talisman of Creativity, Relic of Legends, Lotus Petal, Mox Diamond, and Arid Mesa. And with that, let's see some value plays. Cammy starts things off with a Swamp as land for turn. She casts an Imperial Seal. Cammy searches up a card at the top of her library and loses 2 life. She then passes the turn. Tyler plays Verdant Catacombs as land for turn. He pays life for Cragset, fetching up an Underground Sea. He casts his commander, Rograkh, Son of Rograkh. He casts Springleaf Drum. Tyler passes the turn. Dan plays a Crystal Vein as land for turn. He casts Amulet of Vigor. Dan passes the turn. John plays an Arid Mesa as land for turn. He pays life for Cragset, fetching up a Volcanic Island. He exiles Elvish Spirit Guide from his hand to cast Talisman of Creativity. He casts Mystic Remora. He casts Lotus Petal. John passes the turn. Cammy taps and draws. She plays a Swamp as land for turn. She casts a Dark Ritual. For more triggers, and John draws. She casts her commander, Sheoldred the Apocalypse. Cammy passes the turn. Tyler taps and draws. Sheoldred pings it for 2. He plays a Flooded Strand as land for turn. He pays a life for Cragset, fetching up a Watery Grave, into play on tap, paying 2 life. He casts a Necropotence. For more triggers, and John draws. Sheoldred triggers to ping him for 2. Necro resolves, and Tyler pays 7 life into it to exile 7 cards face down. He goes to his end step and adds the Necro cards to hand. Tyler passes the turn, discarding the hand size. Dan untaps and draws. Sheoldred pings him for 2. He plays Hickory Woodlot as land for turn. Amulet triggers to untap it. He casts Sylvan Safekeeper. He then casts Altar of Dementia. For more triggers, and John draws. Sheoldred pings him for 2. Dan passes the turn. John untaps, and in his upkeep he pays to keep Remora. He draws for turn. Sheoldred pings him for 2. John tells everyone to look away as he casts Mox Diamond, discarding Gaia's Cradle as it enters. He then casts Relic of Legends. John passes the turn. Cammy untaps and draws. Sheoldred triggers to gain 2. She plays a Swamp as land for turn. Cammy casts Dark Deal. Everyone has to read this as Tyler stares in disbelief. For more triggers, and John draws. Sheoldred pings it for 2. John casts Worldly Tutor. Tyler responds with a Mental Misstep. For more triggers, and John draws. Sheoldred pings it for 2. Tutor is countered and Dark Deal resolves. Tyler shows his incredible hand he's discarding into exile, including Thassa's Oracle, Demonic Consultation, and Lion's Eye Diamond. Everyone draws and takes their Sheoldred pings. Cammy then goes to combat and swings Sheoldred at Tyler. He protests and then takes it anyway. She then passes the turn. Tyler taps and skips his draw due to Necro. He plays Undercity Sewers as land for turn, into play tapped, surveilling Will of the Jeskai into his grave. He casts his commander, Silas Wren, Secret Adept. He pays 4 into Necropotence to refill his hand, and passes the turn. Dan untaps and draws. Sheoldred pings him for 2. He plays Echoing Deeps as a copy of City Traders in his grave. He sacrifices Crystal Vein and Hickory Woodlot to cast his commander, Lumra, Bellow of the Woods. Lumra triggers, Dan holds priority and sacrifices Lumra to alter to mill a card. He then sacrifices Echoing Deeps to Safekeeper to give itself Shroud. Dan then mills 4 and returns 5 lands into play untapped thanks to Amulet. Echoing Deeps enters as a copy of Hickory Woodlot. He pays life and cracks Wooded Foothills to fetch up a snow-covered forest. He taps out to make 11 mana and casts Tireless Provisioner. He then taps out to recast Lumra. It enters and triggers. He sacrifices Lumra to alter to mill himself for 5. He then sacrifices all of his lands to put 5 Safekeeper activations on the stack targeting Tireless Provisioner. Lumra's ability then mills 4 and returns boatloads of lands to the battlefield, including Command Beacon. Tyler's triggers 11 times to make treasures. Dan presents a loop of sacrificing Command Beacon to put Lumra into his hand and then casting it for 6. He can sacrifice all of his lands to target Lumra with Safekeeper so they all return, making more and more mana and treasures as he mills through his entire deck. He does this over and over until he mills Sunscorched Desert. Now as he goes through the loop, Sunscorched Desert enters over and over, pinging an opponent for 1 each time. Dan does this over and over until the table is dead. And with that, Dan wins the game. Today, we have a 2-for-1 deal. In this game, Tyler's playing Rograkh, Son of Rograkh, and Thrasios, Triton Hero. This is Gaia's Cradle Storm list looking to make tons of mana and dump it into Thrasios to pump out a win. His hand contains a Storm Chaser's Talent, a Boral Breeze Collar, Biomancer's Familiar, Windswept Heath, Forest, Manamo, School at Water's Edge, and Talon Gates of Madara. Dan is again playing Lumra, Bellow of the Woods. His hand contains a Sylvan Safekeeper, Mox Diamond, Mana Vault, Beseiju Who Endures, Sunscorched Desert, Crumbling Vestige, and a Forest. John is again playing Omnath, Locus of Creation. His hand contains Wrenn and 6, Enlightened Tutor, Wild Growth, and Arid Mesa. His 3 Luna Mulligans are Intuition, Veil of Summer, and Metal Misstep. Cammy's again playing Sheoldred, the Apocalypse. Her hand contains a Dauthi Voidwalker, Cabal Ritual, Dark Deal, Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, and a Swamp. Her Luna Mulligans are Cabal Coffers and Flare Malice. And with that, let's see some value plays. Tyler starts things off with a Manamo, School at Water's Edge, as land for turn. He casts Storm Chaser's Talent. It enters and triggers to make an Otter. He casts his commander, Rograkh, son of Rograkh. Tyler passes the turn. Dan plays a Forest as land for turn. He casts a Mox Diamond, discarding Sunscorched Desert as it enters. He casts Sylvan Safekeeper. He casts Mana Vault. Everyone reevaluates their mulligans as Dan passes the turn. John plays an Arid Mesa as land for turn. He plays Life and Cracks it, fetching up a Plateau. He casts a Chrome Mox, imprinting Wild Growth as it enters. He casts Wrenn and 6. Dan and Tyler raise some alarms as Wrenn can ping off their 1/1 boards. John says he's on a multi 4 and he just wants to get lands. He begs them to consider a deal where he never pings them off if they just let Wrenn live to get his lands back. They say no deal. John offers Tyler that he could ping the combo piece on Dan's board if Tyler holds off killing Wrenn. Also no deal. John just uses the +1 ability of Wrenn and 6 to add back Arid Mesa to hand. He then passes the turn. Cammy untaps and draws. She plays a Swamp as land for turn. She passes the turn. Tyler untaps and draws. He casts a Biomancer's Familiar. He goes to combat and swings 1 at Wrenn and 6. Wrenn takes it and Tyler passes the turn. Dan untaps and draws. He plays a Crumbling Vestige. Into play tap, triggering to make a green. He taps out to cast his commander, Lumra, Bellow of the Woods. It enters and triggers. Dan holds priority and puts 2 Safekeeper activations on the stack targeting Lumra. Lumra then dies to state-based actions. He then mills 4 and returns all lands from his graveyard to the battlefield. Sunscorched Desert pings Wrenn and 6 for 1. Crumbling Vestige triggers to make a green. He casts Elvish Reclaimer. He then goes to combat, swinging Sylvan Safekeeper at Wrenn. Dan passes the turn. John untaps and draws. He plays Arid Mesa as land for turn. He used the -1 ability of Wrenn and 6 to ping Tyler's Otter for 1, killing it. Tyler protests, but John says his window of trying to just get lands with Wrenn is passed. John passes the turn. Cammy untaps and draws. She plays Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth as land for turn. She casts a Lotus Petal. Cammy casts Dauthi Voidwalker. Dan does a double take at this, and John pays a Life and Cracks Arid Mesa, fetching up a Tundra to the battlefield. Cammy then passes the turn. Tyler untaps and draws. He plays Verdant Catacombs as land for turn. He pays Life and Cracks it into exile to fetch up a tropical island. He casts Enduring Vitality. He casts his commander, Thrasios, Straight Hero. Tyler then passes the turn. Dan untaps and draws. Mana Vault deals 1 to him. Dan casts Malevolent Rumble. John and Tyler beg him to reconsider feeding Dauthi, but Dan says he's got to dig. Dan reveals some lands and crop rotation, adding Gaia Reach Sanitarium to hand, putting the rest in the Dauthi zone. Dan plays Gaia Reach Sanitarium as land for turn. After a lot of debate, Dan goes to combat, swinging Reclaimer and Safekeeper at Cammy. She takes the damage, and Dan passes the turn. John untaps and draws. He plays Otawara, Soaring City as land for turn. He casts his commander, Omnath, Locus of Creation. It enters and triggers to draw a card. John then passes the turn. Cammy untaps and draws. She casts Cabal Ritual, adding 3 black mana. She taps out for her commander, Sheoldred, the Apocalypse. Cammy passes the turn. Tyler untaps and draws. Sheoldred pings him for 2. He plays Urza's Saga as land for turn, getting its first counter. He casts Mox Amber. Tyler activates Thrasios, scrying 1 and revealing Cloud of Fairies, drawing it. Sheoldred pings him for 2. He activates Thrasios again, scrying 1 and revealing Phyrexian Metamorph, drawing it. Sheoldred pings him for 2. He casts Phyrexian Metamorph. It enters as a copy of Elvish Reclaimer. Tyler then passes the turn. Dan untaps and in his upkeep he pays to untap his Mana Vault. He draws for turn. Sheoldred pings him for 2. Dan plays Strip Mine as land for turn. He then passes the turn. John taps in his upkeep, he casts Enlightened Tutor. It resolves and he searches up a Mystic Remora to the top of his library. John draws for turn. Sheoldred pings him for 2. He casts Mystic Remora. He then casts a Mockingbird with X equals 1. It enters as a flying copy of Dauthi Voidwalker to make sure that Dan stays under the yoke. With that, John passes the turn. Cammy untaps and draws. Sheoldred triggers to gain 2. She casts May, Scornful Striker. Cammy goes to combat, swinging Sheoldred at Tyler. He takes the damage, and Cammy passes the turn. Tyler untaps and draws. Sheoldred pings for 2. In his first main phase, Urza's Saga gets its second counter. He casts a Mox Diamond, Mystic and May trigger. Tyler takes 2 and John draws. Sheoldred pings John for 2. Tyler discards a Windswept Teeth into the Dauthi zone as it enters. He then casts a Boral Breeze Collar. The table stand on alert as Breeze Collar resolves. He activates his Elvish Reclaimer copy, sacrificing a forest to search up a Gaia's Cradle to the battlefield tapped. He casts a Cloud of Fairies. Things are getting out of hand here, so Dan steps in by channeling Boseiju, who endures, targeting Gaia's Cradle. Tyler responds by activating Manamo, School of Water's Edge, targeting Cradle. Dan responds by sacrificing Strip Mine, targeting Cradle. Tyler responds by activating Breeze Caller, returning Tropical Island hand, targeting Cradle to untap. Gaia's Cradle finally untaps, and then Tyler taps it, floating 6 green mana. He then activates Breeze Caller, returning Cradle to hand to untap Manamo. Strip Mine then fizzles. Manamo's untapped, then fizzles. Boseiju fizzles. Cloud of Fairies finally resolves and triggers. John says if Dan will sacrifice his Cradle into exile to save them with Talon Gates, John will get rid of his Dauthi to get Dan closer to winning. Dan needs the help and activates Elvish Reclaimer, sacrificing Gaia's Cradle into the Dauthi pile. Tyler responds by activating Thrasios, scrying 1 and putting a deserted temple into play tapped. Dan then searches up a Talon Gates and Madara into play tapped, and it triggers to phase out Thrasios. Tyler responds by activating Thrasios, scrying 1 and revealing Wild Growth, drawing it. Sheoldred pings it for 2. He activates Thrasios again, scrying and revealing Mana Vault, drawing it. Sheoldred pings it for 2. Thrasios then phases out. Cloud of Fairies then untaps 2 lands. Tyler plays Gaia's Cradle as a land for turn. He floats 6 green mana and spends 1 to cast Wild Growth, targeting Cradle. Mystic and May trigger. Tyler takes 2 and John draws. Sheoldred pings it for 2. Tyler pays 4 to activate Talon Gates and Madara in hand, putting it into play. It triggers to phase Omnath. Tyler activates Breeze Caller for 1 to return Talon Gates to hand and untap Cradle. Tyler demonstrates the loop of paying 5 to bounce and replay Talon Gates and making 7 mana with Cradle. He uses this loop to make infinite green mana. He can also use Breeze Caller with Talon Gates to untap his other lands to make infinite mana of all of his colors at this point, phasing out Dan's creatures along the way. He passes the turn, holding up instant speed, phasing and infinite mana. Dan untaps and in his upkeep, Tyler activates Talon Gates in hand to restart the loop. Dan responds by activating Elvish Reclaimer, sacrificing a forest as an additional cost. Tyler responds with another Talon Gates activation. He then proceeds to make infinite mana again and phase out Dan's board. Elvish Reclaimer then puts Wasteland into play. Dan sacrifices it, targeting Gaia's Cradle. In response, Tyler notices since he can untap all of his lands infinitely with all of his mana, and Urza Saga is on his second counter, he can make 10 million constructs. The table realizes they are even more dead than before, as Tyler proceeds to try and start phasing Cammy's board. In response, Cammy activates Dauthi Voidwalker, sacrificing it to cast Enlightened Tutor. Mystic and May trigger. Cammy takes 2 and John draws. Sheoldred pings it for 2. Cammy then searches up a Soul Ring to the top of her library. All non-Tyler creatures are then phased out. Tyler activates a Boro, returning Cradle to hand to untap a land. Wasteland then fizzles. Dan finally draws for turn. He casts Song of the Dryads, targeting a Boro Breeze Caller. Mystic triggers and John draws. Tyler responds by activating Talon Gates from hand to put it into play, this time phasing out Breeze Caller. Song then fizzles, and Dan passes the turn. John untaps and in his upkeep for more triggers. In response, Dan asks if John has any outs, and John says his only prayer is to draw into Cyclonic Rift. Dan activates Gaia Reach Sanitarium, and each player draws and discards. John then lets his Remor die. In his main phase, John sacrifices Dauthi, casting Praetor's Grasp from exile for free, targeting Tyler. He goes searching through Tyler's deck and realizes Tyler doesn't play Cyclonic Rift. In a sad twist, John tries to put something else together. He exiles a card face down. He then casts Soul Ring. He casts Talisman of Curiosity. He casts Eternal Witness, targeting Arid Mesa in his grave to get it back to hand. He plays Arid Mesa as land for turn. Omnath triggers to gain 4 life. He plays Life of Craxit, fetching up a Tropical Island. Omnath triggers to gain 4 mana. He then casts Crop Rotation, sacrificing Otawara, searching up a Gaia's Cradle to the battlefield. Omnath triggers to ping everyone for 4. He floats 2 with Cradle and then casts Eldritch Evolution, sacrificing Eternal Witness as an additional cost, searching up Displacer Kitten to the battlefield. He then casts his card in exile, Underworld Breach. The table's jaw hit the floor, but John says he only has 1 card in hand and this really won't go anywhere. Displacer Kitten triggers to flicker Soul Ring. He escapes Crop Rotation from grave, sacrificing Tundra as an additional cost. Kitten triggers to flicker his Talisman. He puts a Volcanic Island into play. He recasts Crop Rotation from grave, sacrificing a land as an additional cost. Kitten triggers to flicker Omnath. Omnath enters and triggers to draw. Crop Rotation puts Wooded Foothills into play, triggering Omnath to gain 4 life. John pays life and cracks Wooded Foothills to put Breeding Pool into play on tap, paying 2 life. Omnath triggers to make 4 more mana. John casts Relic of Legends. Kitten triggers to flicker Omnath. Omnath triggers to draw. Everyone asks if this is leading somewhere, while John says he's almost presenting something here. He casts Lightning Bolt, targeting Tyler. Kitten triggers to flicker Omnath. In response, John taps Omnath to Relic 4 mana. He then draws a card with Omnath. John sadly has to cast Force of Negation, targeting his own Lightning Bolt. John makes a mana with Relic, then Kitten flickers Omnath, and then it triggers to draw. Bolt is countered and exiled. John casts Lion's Eye Diamond. John makes a mana with Relic. Then Kitten flickers Omnath, and it triggers to draw. He recasts Crop Rotation, sacrificing a land as an additional cost. John makes a mana with Relic, then Kitten flickers Omnath, and it triggers to draw. He fetches up a Misty Rainforest to the battlefield. Omnath triggers to gain 4 life. He pays life and cracks Misty Rainforest, fetching up a Steam Vents to the battlefield. Into play on tap, paying 2 life. Omnath triggers to make 4 mana. Really short on cards and options, John exiles the last 3 cards in his grave to cast Crop Rotation one last time. John makes a mana with Relic, and Kitten flickers Omnath, and it triggers to draw. He doesn't draw any new non-creature spells to keep going, and just passes the turn, forgetting to even put his new land into play, sacrificing Underworld Breach. Cameo taps and draws. She casts a Soul Ring. She casts Dark Deal. Everyone discards the hand and draws. Sheoldred pings everyone for some damage. Cammy goes to pass her turn. John stops her and casts Mystical Tutor. John makes a mana with Relic, and then Kitten flickers Omnath, and it triggers to draw. John then searches up a Cyclonic Rift to the top of his library, and begs someone to give him a draw. No one can, and the turn passes to Tyler. Tyler untaps and draws. Sheoldred triggers to ping him for 2. Tyler goes to combat and swings some of his millions of constructs at the table. They all take the damage, die, and with that, Tyler wins the game. So what did we learn today? Turns out the best deck to stop a lands combo deck is another lands combo deck. People really need to run more strip mines. If you have any tips for the video, leave them below. Subscribe if you feel like it. Until next time, keep making value plays.
Did you just draw?
I did just draw.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm saying he now will add 30 cards to the hand and he won't have to draw.
Oh, good for him.
That's crazy.
Why do you hate me and not the man who's going to draw 30 getting around the Sheoldred tax, Cammy?
Because he always does.
He's a tax evader. Dude, you guys want to see a play for animals? Oh, yeah? Mock Simon. I'll pitch Guy's Cradle.
Oh, I've never seen it done.
I know.
Ever.
I'm as sad as everyone else.
Damn it.
I also encourage you heavily to punch Tyler.
She's so healthy. Yeah, punch
Please.
Tyler. Yeah, it's good.
Damn.
It's good. It is good.
Yeah, what do you mean? Why are you saying it like that, though? You make it sound like it's not.
Punch him.
Why?
Don't punch me.
Damn,
No.
why?
Dark Deal. Each player discards all Arctic.
Oh my god.
Jesus, Cammy?
Arctic what now?
Each player discards.
Disclorb?
Each player discards all the cards in their hand, then draws that many cards -1. Okay.
This is the sickest Dark Deal
Yeah,
in
so
history.
they
Here's
just-
Thassa.
Oh.
Here's Consultation.
Yeah!
LED, so now that combo's
Yeah.
gone.
Okay, so either of these would have worked.
Yeah.
Time Twister, Diabolic Intent, and a land. Hey, you want to not blast me?
Send him to hell.
I'm
Cammy.
blown out.
You do have nothing.
No, Cammy. No, that's what he said. So really, yeah, you can.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you got
he
it.
doesn't need very many
Yeah,
pieces. He's
so
got it.
actually, without even a Shia, just, with
Right.
Sunscorch and that original.
That's what I was about to say.
All right.
Okay, and
you
then
got
I
it.
just shoot everybody.
Yep.
That's right.
Everybody's dead.
Yep.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Renin 6.
Whoa. My life has ended.
Why?
Because it's a creature killer?
Oh, it just shoots for one.
Can you shoot the guy that cares?
Ooh.
I'm doing nothing.
If you commit to not attacking it this turn, then I will shoot Dan's idiot.
Dan,
'Cause
I think we can't make that deal. Like, me and you both have to say we're going to attack
Yours
that guy.
yours has prowess, though. So like I have so much incentive to kill the otter.
Dude, I'm playing a creature next turn.
I have
So
one card
creature
hand.
won't
I
matter
literally
with
just want
prowess
to keep
is what I'm
getting
telling you.
lands. That's
It's going to be a 1.
I want to just
We
get a land.
both have
I'm
to
worried
keep
that you guys
attacking
are going to
him.
be blasted at.
Because he'll just ping us.
Yeah, he's just going to kill all the creatures.
I don't
for the
plan
rest of
to.
the
I
game.
just want to get lands. I literally am on a molt of 4.
I mean, I probably will swing at it realistically.
Dude. John's voice right now. God damn it. John's voice in the video. Tyler taps this creature. It's like the most cheerful shit I've ever heard.
Yeah.
John, in game. God fucking damn it.
It's so sad because in my mind, Renin 6 with 1 fetch and like 1 land enchantment, I was like, I am on a molt of 4 and I can just make land drops and eventually get a draw. As soon as I play, both of them are like, he's gonna ping our whole boards. We're fucked. He's controlling the game. And I'm like, all right, well, I've lost the only card that was in my keep.
Should have said I'll never ping a creature. I'll only get lands, and I wouldn't have swung at it.
I literally said I will only get lands if you just tell me you're not going to swing at it. And you said no deal.
No, you said otherwise I'm gonna shoot.
I'll play. Yeah, I said I will get lands if you're not going to attack. Otherwise, I have to shoot because you're going to attack.
That is.
I'll
the
play
same
back
deal,
the game
to
tape.
be
Yeah.
fair.
I literally.
I'm still good
I
with
at
it.
no point even read the second line. I was like, I just want to make land
I'm
drops.
still good with it.
I think fucking
It's
wasteland.
so
the guy
insane
is
that
incredible.
Dan had 3 land answers. Land answers, bitch. What the
Lancers.
fuck?
You think Wasteland? Because I'll do it.
But he can make 10,000 guys right now.
Well, yeah, he'll have those guys. I can't. John, I'm doing my best. I'm playing land.
You're doing
I'm
the
playing land
most,
trial.
You're doing the best.
John's probably got a win in his
Huh?
hand. No, I don't. Yeah, I want that.
Okay, you can have it.
Dude, this game blows. Let's move on.
You're gonna win anyway. We're literally gonna bounce it. You're gonna phase in and just make infinite mana and win on your turn. Like, it doesn't matter. If I bounce your entire board, you win anyway. Let me get some content.
Do
All right.
it. Let me get some content.
Alright, I'm pitching
Farming
for-
me for content. This is horrible.
I'm drawing for turn.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, got Praetor's Crap.
So anyway, I'm gonna cast Praetor's Crap. I'm gonna target you.
I'm sure I got a Cycrypt in here, dude.
Hang on, let me.
Can you cast Cycler?
I don't know. I have a Soul Ring. Eldritch Evolution.
Okay, weren't we just at 7?
Huh?
Like, couldn't you just have been at 7 right there?
I don't have Cyclonic Rip.
Oh, okay,
It's not in
never
his
mind.
deck.
Okay, I gotcha.
I'm trying my best. I'm sacking.
Are you stopping something of mine over here, or what?
When you cast...
What are you fucking doing?
I'm trying to beg. Fuck you, everyone.
We could get another game in.
Alright, this is my last attempt. I'll pay 1. Crop Rotation, exile the last 3 cards of my grave. And Trigger Kitten, Flicker Omnath. Okay,
You're like 5 cards so far.
I'll pass.
What?
I don't have any more non-creatures. I can't cast
Oh.
anything to trigger Omnath.
Dang,
Or to Flicker Kitten.
that's tough.